Thirst. Sam, thank you. I appreciate you. This is
Thank you for inviting me, man.
time and opportunity.
And thank you for always showing love to the events, you know, always come and support us, spinning and all that. So, you know, I can't say no.
Of course. I wanna jump right into it and go back to New York City, because you come from Brownsville.
From Brownsville. I'm originally born in Far Rockaway.
Okay.
So I was born in Far Rockaway and I lived there, you know, all my earliest hip hop experiences began in Far Rockaway.
Okay.
And then I moved to Miami, then I moved to Brownsville.
Oh,
So we've been here since the 70s in Miami. Like we've been in that crib since 1974. I'm about to be 50 years old this January, man. So, you know, going back and forth, you know, Miami's been part of my home as well. You know, this has been my second home.
I got a kind of like a similar story, like, because, you know, I was born in Guyana, in South America, and then when we left Guyana, we moved to Flatbush, to Brooklyn. So this is 85, 84, 85. But I was so young, my older brothers, you know, they had a different experience in Brooklyn in the 80s than I did as a kid. But like for you, I guess coming from Far Rockaway to Miami and then going to Brownsville, what was that like back then?
It was all the same.
Yeah.
Miami was hard. Miami was hard. As a teenager, when I got here, it was on. Like it was even for me, I came, like, you know, I would come to live in Miami every time my mother went to prison. This was where they would send me to live. You know, my grandparents always took me in. I had to fight with everybody out here, you know, because I was a New York dude. My style, my swag, everything was different. So niggas was stepping into my business. So this kind of prepared me for Brownsville, because we moved to Brownsville because when my mother got out of prison, she was already on the waiting list, like for the projects in Brownsville. So she got accepted. So as soon as she got out, you know, I went back to New York and we moved into Brownsville, and the drama was on immediately, you know. But Miami helped prepare me, because Miami, they was stepping into my business hard too. It wasn't a game out here. And I'm talking about young, like, you know, 12, 13, like it was going down here.
Saying that's the part of Miami history that I never heard about, like about it being like real gully like that.
Wynwood, this was like a Puerto Rican hood, you know, this where all the dope fiends was at and all that. But even the children, just think of the children of these people, you know, how they're being brought up, how much they don't know and how much they're getting involved in streetwise. Because, you know, from those generations, like that generation I come from, we raised ourselves. You know, I was a grown man by 12. I was independent. You know, I was a baby daddy by 14. So being independent was already in my DNA at an early age, man.
Yeah. So your grandmother's house is the block that we always came to.
26th Street, Wynwood, yeah.
But for me coming around there, I guess from like 4 or 5 years ago, even back then, the gentrification of Wynwood had already started. But what I always hear is that Wynwood used to be it used to look completely different. It wasn't these art galleries and all these nice restaurants.
All these were factories. You know, this was like the industrial area. So it was pretty vacant around here. All of this was factories. My grandmother actually worked in the Dorisa of Miami on North Miami Avenue. In 27, my grandma worked there for like 20 years. So, you know, just seeing, when I started coming back to Miami, because I had a big period where I didn't come here for a long time. But when I started coming back, it was still the hood, it was still ghetto and all that. I saw the transition beginning to happen. And you know, at first I'm like, this shit is evolving into everything that I do. And my grandmother's a party person, so she loves the crowd, she loves the party, so she always encouraged me to do stuff at the house. Matter of fact, we started the event for her, to give her a reason to party, come hang out, cook her food, you know. So that's how our Love and Loyalty event started in my grandma's house, man.
How do you feel? I mean, you know, it's kind of a silly question, but now that the house is not there anymore, like there has to be some type of like pain that comes along with that. Nah?
I believe in progression. I believe in evolution. I believe in what's next to come. That was the next chapter is now because of that, because of everything that happened everything that happened since me coming back here, being in my was supposed to happen. You know, it was part of my evolution. It was part of Low Life's evolution. It was a part of my family's evolution. Like, it served so many different purposes. And that house not being there no more gave us all the strength to know that it's not there and what we must do now. You know what I mean?
And what's next?
Yeah, it's all about what's next, you know? It's a great chapter, man. Like, not only that, I captured everything on film. You know, I even did a documentary about my grandparents' life.
Oh, wow.
Their love story, you know what I mean? Remember we had that big mural?
The mural, yeah.
Yeah, I put it out already, it's online. You know, it's the love story of my grandparents, how they met, and you know, 80 years worth of photos. My grandma had the craziest collection I would have never believed. Like, for years I would ask her, Grandma, let me see a picture. She would go in her room and come back with like 2 pictures. Here. But when she passed away and all that, and we had to take care of her stuff, I found thousands upon thousands of pictures, home videos, stuff that I couldn't believe. Even my father died when I was 3 years old. My father was their son. I found his whole life in photos, videos, and I found his autopsy papers brand new. I found every achievement he ever got in school. Like, my grandmother was the greatest archive collector I found, because I found all of this at one shot. Like, that's crazy, you know what I mean? She had pictures of her and my grandfather since teenagers together. Every photo almost brand new, like it was just taken yesterday. So she gave me enough to make a whole film about their lives, man. So that, you know, that actually did a lot for me too, man. It really, you know, I was able to give back something and help immortalize them the way they last, and to teach my family about their story, you know, because their story was big, them moving here from New York and why they moved, and, you know, and there's going to be a lot more to come from that.
Because your family is Puerto Rican, or on your father's side, or both your father and mother's? Oh, okay.
Both my father and mother's family straight Puerto Rican, but both of my grandmothers are straight black African Puerto Ricans. So, you know, half of my family is black, half of my family is light. You know what I mean? So that's why we all look like you don't know the difference, you know?
No doubt. Yeah, that's crazy. Is that kind of what, I guess, being exposed to that type of love and that history and that preservation of love and families, that kind of what plays into how you incorporate such a family element in everything that you do or have done?
Yes and no. You know, I didn't have the same kind of structure in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, I had no blood relatives. I only had the streets. I only had, you know, my projects. I only had my lowlifes. That was my family. I didn't have none of my relatives where I lived, you know, so I'm the only Puerto Rican dude in my project for a long time.
That must have been crazy.
That shit made me who I am, you know what I mean? I'm not mad at nobody for nothing. But I didn't have the structure, so I had to build it and develop it. Now, you know, I've always had my grandparents in the Miami home, but anytime I was sent here, I was fucking it all up because, you know, I wasn't stable mentally on how I conducted myself when I got here. So I wouldn't never last long. They would ship my ass right out. So there came a period, like they shipped me out in '86, I remember. I came here and you know, my grandfather got fed up with me. I came to live forever, and he shipped me back in 30 days. And when I went back home, I didn't even have a coat, you know, in this winter. So we went and did some robberies the next day, to where that next day I wound up being in jail for a long time. And, you know, I felt like it was their fault for sending me back, you know, my ignorant self at that time. So I never returned here until 2000 something, till I became an entertainer. And I started getting flown out to do television appearances and all that. And one day I was like, let me go check on my family, see how they doing.
How did you get into rap? Like, what pushed you into rhyming?
I was always a hip hop fiend. You know, I'm a graffiti artist first. You know, I bombed the trains. I did all that. All my first cases are.
Was your tag name Thirstin?
My tag was Raya back then. Yeah, my tag was Raya. I was actually, from what I was told recently, I was one of the first people to bring graffiti to Wynwood, because I came from New York in like 1982 with a black book full of pieces from everybody in New York City. And, you know, I spread it around here, so I got a chance to influence the people, you know, show my art and show others work. And from what I was told, this was recently told to me, because they're about to open a museum, a graffiti museum on 25th Street.
Oh shit.
So they hit me up because they was telling me that I was one of the first people. This is what the people were telling them.
So all that Wynwood Wall shit that people come here and see, you can actually be credited with the.
I won't say the walls, but you know, just introducing a lot of people to the, you know, the graffiti aspect of, you know, bombing, not really bombing, but tagging and doing burners on paper, you know. But it's crazy. But from there, I also learned how to break dance in Miami. Like, you know, I was a dude where I'm from New York. I was living the culture already, but I never touched the break dancing. When I lived in Miami for a little while, this is when I first really started practicing. And I had a crew and everything out here in Miami in the early 80s called the Latin Rockers, you know. My brother was a part of the Latin Rockers. I went to Robert E. Lee Junior High School. That's right around the corner. You know, we had a whole crew in Robert E. Lee, and we were the Latin Rockers, but we were serious breakdancers, like, you know, devoted, disciplined, and really mastering moves and techniques. I did not begin to start rapping until I was like 26 years old.
Oh, wow, okay.
I was always a hip hop fiend. I listened to everybody. I studied everybody from the beginning. Everybody who came through the gate in hip hop, I was able to study them and their styles, but as a fiend, you know, double cassette tape decks. So when I go to sleep, I play one tape. When it finishes, the other one automatically plays. And so, you know, this was how I lived my life. I never considered to rap until, you know, niggas hanging out in my house one day freestyling. And I'm like,
hold up.
Nigga, if I want to rap, I'll tell all y'all niggas up. I just don't rap. And I started freestyling, and I couldn't stop. All my words were connecting. I didn't realize I had such a natural gift that the next day, I pursued it 150% after that, from that one day of freestyling. I sold my truck, started buying equipment. I did all kinds. I stopped leaving the house. Trying to learn, you know, bought a 4-track with turntables. You know, I always dibble dabble with the turntables and all of that too. But when I saw I could rap, I pursued it because I think hip hop and rap was my greatest love in the world. I didn't love nothing more than my music. You know, my whole family would have told you that. You never would have came to my crib and not hearing music blasting.
Do you love rapping more than graffiti, more than breakdancing?
I always looked like my rapping was the resurrection of my breakdancing. Cause to me, I didn't love nothing more than breakdancing. In New York City, by 1985, breakdancing was played out. Like, and by 1986, you was seeing breakdancing, you was getting laughed at. And this was in New York, so that's how all the crime and all that started, because there was nothing else to do after that, you know?
So you ended up making it into the Source magazine around 97? 97. Yeah. I don't know if you know, but at that time, my older brother was editor-in-chief of the Source magazine, Selwyn Seyfu Hines.
For real?
That's my brother, yeah.
Wow.
So I watched him go from, he used to write for the Village Voice.
Like Bones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then he left the Village Voice and became a music album like review guy and then music editor at the Source. Then eventually editor-in-chief. And right around 97, I remember clear as day, like because I was here in Miami going to high school, but I would be back in New York for the summer. So I would go see him at the Source offices, and in 97, when the Wu-Tang Forever album came out, I was like in them offices every day, but not even putting two together now, you ended up in there at the same time. Was it Unsigned Hype?
Unsigned Hype.
That's dope.
I walked into the I was demo shopping. Riggs Morales, he wrote my article. That day I did my first demo, and I went to every record label in New York City that day. Like, I targeted every place. So I went to the Source, was on my list of targets. So I remember I went to the lady at the reception and I said, who does the Unsigned Hype column? And she said, oh, Riggs Morales so-and-so, would you like me to call him out? Yes, please do. As soon as he came out the back door, I just started rhyming. And he was like, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got it. He didn't hear my demo, he ain't hear shit. You know what I mean? But he was like, you got it. So, you know, I guess he reviewed the demo and everything. And the crazy shit was, when it dropped, I was on Rikers Island. Damn. So now I got to battle everybody on Rikers Island, you know what I mean? Right. That was crazy.
That's legendary, man, because that's a high caliber of you, Biggie, you know.
M got it right after me. Yeah. You know, I remember we all took him up there, you know what I mean?
To the Source?
To the Source, yeah. There was a bunch of us already doing this, so M got took to the source, you know, AL Skills took him up there as well. Like we were taking M around New York too, introducing him to everybody on his come up, you know. Even giving out that demo, like his first demo. I remember putting everybody in my projects on to M, you know, giving out that first demo that became his album.
Right. Around, and then you say you got locked up like around that time or right after that?
No, I got locked up. I was locked up when The Source came out, when the Unsigned Hype came out. It was a little bullshit charge I had to do 90 days for, but I had to battle everybody when they knew it was me in the Unsigned Hype.
Were you trying to get like a major record deal? Like you trying to sign a?
Yeah, I was like every other artist, going everywhere trying to get a deal. You know, running around. I stepped to everybody to do it. You know, I was stepping to everybody to battle. I was running up and label. I would go in Def Jam office and put a package on everybody's desk. Not just one package. I got duffel bag full, and I'm walking around the offices putting it on desks of people who not even there. This how hungry I was and serious for it, you know.
Did it ever pan out? Like, do you ever get an offer from a major label?
When I dropped my first CD, right, which was my demo, it had 27 songs on it. Ooh. So I remember I was shopping that as a demo, and then Raucous hit me up, like, you know, to do a single. I already did the Lyricist Lounge, you know, the Bathroom Cypher on their album. So when Raucous hit me, you know, they gave me a single deal. And when they gave me the single deal after the Sound Bombing, when Sound Bombing dropped through all their promotions, I put everything, I released my project alongside, because their promotions was heavy.
Right.
Yo, I got a deal offer from everybody. That was crazy, because Def Jam came, LL gave me a deal. He was the first one to give me a deal. Beastie Boys threw me a deal. What? Like, you know, I was getting deals from people that I looked up to and all that. And I only walked away from that deal with a single deal, with the Game Records Puerto Rican single deal. You know, I had management at that time that, you know, I feel like they wasn't handling the business right. I was catching everything and I was just putting it in their hands. And they wasn't handling it the way, I was on the table at Def Jam. I could have been the next. Me and Master Fool was like the next thing being, you know, they was debating on us. That's when DJ Enough, you know, Enough his family too. So Enough put us on the table when he became an A&R up there. You know, but I believe everything happens for a reason, man, because, you know, I done dropped 30 projects already by now, and that's just CDs.
Well, I was gonna say that ultimately led to you being, like, to my knowledge, like the longest independent running hip hop artist that
I've never had a deal. That's something a lot of people, I've never had a deal. And that never stopped me. It made me go harder. The more people told me no, the more I found other ways to tell them, fuck that. Right. You can't tell me no. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just made it work for myself, man.
Right. Where did you like pick up the moniker Thirstin Howl? Because you say your graph name was Raya. So then where's the transition into? Is that before you started rhyming or?
Nah. Thirstin came as an MC, because when I first started rhyming, the name I used was Big Vic Low the Barbarian. That was my low life name. You know, I'm a barbarian. That's how I used to conduct myself in the streets. So I used that at first as a rapper for a couple of months, until I evolved. until one day I went to Massachusetts for like a summer, and I stayed at my sister's crib because I wanted to write. I wanted to get away from my projects, everybody coming to my crib. I just wanted to write and, you know, master my writing skills. And when I left that summer, I was thirsting. Everybody was already calling me thirsty because all I wanted to do was battle. Like, I'm hunting niggas down. I'm waiting outside the club. I'm in the record labels. I'm battling I'm making you battle me. So niggas like, yo, you thirsty, man. I ain't going nowhere with you. I go on a date with my girl and she got to stop for a battle that turns into 3 hours on the street. Yo, it was that serious. Like, you know, in New York, like, I'm gonna tell you one thing I never seen in Miami, a cipher. In New York, I drive around different hoods and go to the projects just to find ciphers, and you're gonna always run into ciphers everywhere. So, you know, I used to hunt down ciphers just to test my sword all the time, man. That was like my thing. So, you know, a lot of dudes from my project used to roll with me, but then a lot of dudes like, nah, man, you thirsty, you thirsty. So, you know, when I left to Massachusetts that summer, I became Thirstin Howl because I put the two together. I developed a character, you know, because I also rap like a character, you know. All my early music was massive comedy. So a lot of people who knew me didn't get it because when they looking at me like,
you don't match up. You're like,
yeah, nigga, you not funny. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like I became a character. I tried to do whatever nobody else was doing in rap. I wanted to speak proper on my raps. I didn't want to use too much slang. I wanted to do everything that was going to set me apart. Right. Not only that, a lot of people used to be like, yo, why you don't rap about your real life? Because I was doing straight comedy. Mm-hmm. And to me, there was no skill in that. I wanted to be all about skills, right. You know what I mean? And as far as character, I was a big fan of Dana Dane, Jimmy Spicer, the rapping Duke, yeah. You know, all these people who rap like they were somebody else. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, you know, become somebody. I already know who the fuck I was. I was confident in who I was, but that's not what I wanted to do in my music. You know what I mean?
Did you ever felt like you lost a battle? Like when you went on that hunt to find these battles?
I never lost a battle. Nah. I lost a battle. I'm gonna say it here for the first time ever because it's a respectable thing. I lost the battle when I started fighting by other people's rules. You know what I mean? Like I'm a brawler. I don't fight by nobody's rules. I'm gonna do what I gotta do and I'm gonna win. In the streets, I will battle 20 people by myself and not even let nobody rhyme. Cause yo, I got rhymes after rhyme after rhyme. It's like a fight. You having a fight, I'm gonna keep punching you in the face. I'm not gonna let you get a punch in. I lost one battle in an organized battle, the Blaze battle.
I remember that.
And this was a time where my mom just passed away and all that. And I lost, you know who I lost to? My son.
What?
Before he got locked up. And you know what? I deserved to lose that day because I came in there arrogant. I came in there on some, anybody, you know what I mean? Yeah. And my son was just playing the back real smooth and whoever was supposed to battle me didn't step up to battle. They broke out. So my son stepped up to take the place. And you know, we were battling by time, clock, and all. That's not my style of battle, you know what I mean? But I always respected him from that day because it taught me to humble myself a little more. Even though I don't feel like I lost the battle, it was just stuff that was based upon seconds and what the crowd, you know, the crowd screaming and all that. But enough respect to my son for that, you know?
That's like a DJ battle I just competed in a couple of weeks ago. The guy that I lost to, shout to DJ Immortal, you know, I was supposed to lose to him. Man. So it was a
beast with it, man.
Yeah, and I found out that I knew, but I never seen him in person.
Man, you gotta do your research sometime.
Because it was 12 of us, and then you know made it to the final round, and it was me, Immortal, and one other kid, and then it got
that's
down.
straight skills. That's straight skills. It's not no hyping up a party shit.
Right, exactly. So, you know, what he did in that moment, as I'm watching him do it, I'm like, I already know, I lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was big enough to accept that and admit that. And I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to win that because I didn't come in prepared enough to outdo that.
You should have reached, especially when you know, Moto's a beast. Man. How long ago was that?
This is 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks?
2 weeks ago.
Man, you should have asked me. I could have told you. 2 weeks?
Yeah. Shout out to DJ Immortal.
Yeah, and he always shows love, man.
Yeah, no, good.
He's another one of those cats, you know, no ego. Everybody love, even if you're doing the same thing, you know?
Yeah. I want to know, what would 2019 Thirstin tell 1989 Thirstin if you could go back, talk to your younger self? Any advice you would tell yourself?
Damn, hey. Nigga, start jogging, because I was getting arrested because I couldn't run that much back then, you know what I mean? So that was my only shit, you know? 1989, I spent a lot of that year locked up, you know? So, but I learned a lot of lessons. I think I would tell the younger Thirstin, just enjoy your life the way you're doing it now, because I wouldn't have became who I am without all those mistakes that he made, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't evolve, I wouldn't appreciate what I appreciate, so he didn't do anything wrong, man. Without him, there would be no me, yeah?
No doubt.
So I'm grateful for all that dumb shit the young me did, you know?
The Elmer Flood video. that kind of, as you were talking about when you started rhyming, you wanted to be comedic with it and have a different approach. So what kind of gave you that concept to do that? Because that was a recent joint, which is incredible, by the way. I love that. That beat is dope.
The beat gave me the direction. My boy Will Tell produced that. You know, when I got the beat, it gave me that attack. Like, you know, I'm a director, I'm a producer, I'm all those things. So, you know, I think I got more music videos than any rapper that exists, as far as catalog wise, you know what I mean? And I don't have a label and I usually don't have the budgets. So I could write a whole script, put together a whole scenery based on convenience. So anytime you see something I did is because somebody came and offered me either the clothes, the location, something, and I wrote my whole script according to that. So I write the convenience. Somebody offered me the farm. So, and I was in Massachusetts, so I'm like, what song do I have that can fit this farm? And I just thought about it, went through my catalog, boom, this is the song. I went and picked up the wardrobe and I banged it out. You know, I'm a comedic person, man, even though we never hanged out or joked. I'm funny, man. A lot of people, some people get it, some people don't, but I'm also a character, man. I like to have fun with what I'm doing. I like to turn into other characters. You know, I could emulate voices, cartoons, you know, so it's something that all the tough guys is scared to do. Like, you know, I don't care about looking tough or, you know, I mean, my life history speaks for itself, whatever I've done, and that's not stuff that I'm trying to glorify. I'm trying to be here, have a good time, give a positive message to the people, and still be entertaining the way I want to do it, you know? So
even in your rhyme voice, like even on that particular record, but your voice, like it hits a different octave. And you know, me as an MC first, like I noticed, I'm like, oh, nah, he can really change. Yeah.
And look, I do Spanish albums, full albums in Spanish. Like everybody like, yo, I ain't even know you speak Spanish. Everybody in Brownsville like, yo, son, I ain't never heard you speak Spanish. I'm like, son, because you don't speak Spanish to me. If you go to the bodega with me, you'll see how much Spanish I speak, you know?
In Brownsville, did you ever, around that time you was living there, come across or bump into MOP? Like, I know they from out there, like, you know.
We're from Brownsville, you grow up with everybody. Like, I didn't personally know MOP, they were from up the hill. Okay. Like, there's two sides of Brownsville. There's up the hill and then there's down the hill. They both crazy and grimy like hell. But down the hill where I'm at is all the projects. It's like 30 projects all surrounding each other. Like, it's crazy, man. But
Saratoga and all over there.
Yeah, but Saratoga goes long. So Saratoga is down the hill and up the hill. Just like Rockaway Avenue goes up and down. But you know, I grew up with Sean P. Grew up in Brownsville. I grew up, I know Master Ace before he was a rapper. You know, like, we know so many people. I grew up with Shannon Briggs from Brownsville.
I know he was from Brownsville.
He's from my projects, you know what I mean? So there's so many different people in Brownsville that, you know, came up with, and everybody bugged out when I became a rapper. That's the funniest shit though, because I never was a rapper. You know, but I was everywhere the rap scene was. I was there. I was in the clubs. I was at the video shoots. I was at everything, but I just wasn't a rapper, you know?
You ever did a song with Sean Price?
Yeah, I got a bunch of shit. When Sean Price blew up, it was times I'm going to this corner store to get a 40, and I bump into son. I'll be like, yo, son, I'm in my crib right now recording on the 4-track, come through. And he'll come right back with me, and we go in the crib. Damn. Sean Price and my best friend Haz were a rap group before he became Helter Skelter. Okay. So like when I was doing my bids in the early 90s, I used to always call home to my man Haz. He would take my collect calls, and him and Sean P would be in there working on music. And I wasn't a rapper or nothing yet, so I used to be, you know, fiending to hear what they got. Yo, let me hear what you got, son. Like, spit something up. Right. You know, and it was bugged to see what it all became, you know?
Damn. I remember How Can I Be Down, 96. I bumped into Helter Skelter at the Hotel Intercontinental on the beach, yeah. But I kind of like you in terms of battling, I walked right up to Rock and I was like, yo, let's battle. And I'm 15 at the time. He kind of just looked at me and was like, little nigga, fuck out of here. Like, he didn't even pay me no mind, but at least I tried, you know what I mean?
Funny, I was talking to Rock today. He called me about something that's going on in Brownsville, but it's crazy because even when they first started, you know, when I first started, they was all already doing their thing. But it was funny to people that I was a rapper and nobody believed me at first because I was involved in all kind of other shit. Yeah. So nobody took me serious, like, that nigga up to something. And I used to hit Rock 8 o'clock in the morning on the phone. Yo, what up, Rock? You want to rhyme, nigga? He be like, come through. And I go to his crib, I go to Subflow Project, 8 o'clock in the morning. We rolling mad blunts and we rhyming all day long, like back to back, just going at it, you know what I mean? Yeah. I used to love that. A lot of dudes used to come to my crib just to spar. Dirty used to come to my crib though. Sons of Man, like everybody used to come through just to rhyme. Cause you come in my crib, you gotta rhyme. Yeah. Eminem used to come to Brownsville, to my project, to rhyme with Paul Rosenberg. And Paul Rosenberg used to rhyme. What? He jumped in the ciphers many times when we was in there getting it in.
Damn. See, that's type of legendary stories that gotta be told, man. Like,
it's serious, man. Like, when it comes to the rhyme shit, it's really not a game. Like, everybody who was coming in my crib after that, we were attacking each other. So, you know, I was used to being attacked by 20, 30 MCs that's hungry, biting on your neck. It, like, when you coming from Brownsville and shit, we got 20 old dirty bastards in our projects, you know. There's so many people with that kind of energy. I got Master Fool, which was one of Dirty's best friends, you know, like them two together doing shows. That's too much to handle, right? You know. But that's what developed Thirstin to be how I am, such an attacking them. You know, I'm a little more calmer now because fucking got over 1,000 records and shit like that. So, you know, I don't gotta prove nothing to nobody. Before I had to prove it because nobody believed me.
Right. As a Puerto Rican MC, you know, what was your feeling when Big Pun came out and like became the first? They say he's the first Latin rapper to go platinum or something like that. Like he was the first to go platinum.
I mean, Cypress Hills went platinum before that.
I guess as a solo.
The Fat Boys went platinum. You know, they had a Latin rapper, but Pun was the one to show that Puerto Rican skill level is all the way above. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fuck with us, you know. But I was proud, man. Just like Joe, I'm proud when, you know, the way Joe maneuvered through the industry and stood up as a Puerto Rican. Like, you know, ain't nobody disrespecting them, shutting them down, and that kind of shit made me proud. You know, that he walked through like that and he repped our flag properly as a man. You know, the same for Pun, man. You know.
Yeah. The jail receipts theme or concept came from, obviously, from being locked up, right? And is it like a cookbook? Was it a show? Was it both? Like, what exactly was the jail receipts?
Jail
recipes, my fault, pardon.
Jail recipes was really how I lived my life. It's really stuff I really cooked. It wasn't a gimmick I was just doing. This is stuff I really made at home that I still make and things like that. But it was recipes that I learned in prison. As you know, the show is comedic. I wrote the show. I developed it and put it together with jokes from Miami. You know what I mean? The cookbooks were all fictional books that I made as, you know, made funny, like just to have skits inside of the show. You know, people took my shit for real and went on and did other things with it. Even my concept of my show. And I'm not mad at nobody for doing that because the new show, you'll never be able to emulate this or copy or steal my shit because now it's a variety show. Okay. You know what I mean? My name is Chef Survival Kit in the jail recipe. That's really always been my name at home. I really can make a meal out of anything I could find. You know, I come from a poor background. So I could walk in anybody's house and find all kind of shit and make some shit like, you're not gonna believe how delicious this shit is. Even when I shot the show, that's what our meal was for the crew. When I cooked those recipes, I fed the crew. Everybody was blown away on how delicious the food actually was. It wasn't just like some props or something, you know? Right. But there's a new jail recipes. I actually took the jail off of it. Now it's just the Chef Survival Kit show. It's a variety show. And I hope to be hitting you in the head real soon with it, you know? I got a lot of shit I'm trying to be throwing out. Too much, you know?
No doubt. Which kind of brings me to, I saw this picture on your Instagram of you standing next to Mr. Loren, Ralph, at the premiere. Was it the premiere for his HBO documentary, right?
Yeah.
Was that the first time you ever met him in person?
Yes, my first time meeting Ralph in person.
What was that like?
It was beautiful, man. I got to meet his whole family, man. And I mean, I got shown a lot of love, and everybody knew who I was. And you know, and people thanked me. Ralph thanked me.
I was gonna ask if he thanked you for, you know.
They thanked me for my interest and the inspiration I brought to the clothes, you know, with low lifes and things like that. You know, like it was a crazy night, man. That night, just that reception alone was like. Probably was the poorest nigga in the room, you know what I mean? It was billionaires and all that up there. Yeah, it was crazy.
Cause I'm gonna come back to that, but cause I wanna ask you, basically, like, why Polo? Why not Lacoste? Or why not Le Tigre back then? Like, what was it?
It was all of that. It was evolution. It was Le Tigre first. Then it became Lacoste. It was Adidas and Puma first. Then it became Benetton, and then Polo beat everybody out because nobody could compete against Polo as far as being seasonal, more designs. So that was the reason they became the main thing, because we did all of the other shit first. This style didn't start with Polo. If you look, this is the straight same B-boy style you saw in motherfucking B Street. Headbands and colorful shit and all that, you know what I mean? So it was all the same. It was the evolution of fashion back then, because 84, 83, 82, all that was Le Tigre. Le Tigre ran the street. I'm bugging because Le Tigre is back now. Now. They haven't had a fucking wave since 84. That's a long time. To make a comeback this far down the line, that's serious. But and then like I said, it evolved from Le Tigre to Lacoste to Izod, because they were sort of similar, but then Izod had more flavors. They had bigger sizes, you know what I mean? So it was different things that was attracting us to it. Even the Benetton, you know, the Benetton and the Coca-Cola and the Oshkosh and all, like once 85 hit, by 85, 86, the whole hip hop fashion started to change. Everything was changing. By 87 and all, you got Dapper Dan running shit. You got Gucci really in the forefront of things. Even the fake Gucci. Like, niggas be acting like niggas was rocking fake Gucci like a motherfucker in New York City. Yeah. It was acceptable. In 84, they had Gucci fake ski hats, your ski bands and all that you rock. You know?
So what kind of, I guess the question is, how did the low lifes birth? You know, because was it called something else before it was low life?
I mean, it was a bunch of different things. Like, you know, the St. John's side of things, they were called the Ralphie's kids. You know, on Brownsville side, Marcus Garvey Village, where I come from, we evolved from different names. You know, we had breakdance crews, we had graffiti crews, so our names always transitioned until we became low lifes. That was the one that stuck like eternally, you know what I mean? So it was an evolution to that as well with the name. We were the Bad Boy Breakers. We was the KOS, the Kings of Style, Kings of Style. You know Bones Malone. I know Bones since I'm 10 years old. That was my friend. So Bones put me down with his crew in the early 80s, the KOS. So anywhere I went, we was able to change the KOS to mean different things. Like the G Unit used it as Kill on Sight. So it was the same thing. We had so many different abbreviations for KOS. But once low lifes came into play, you know, we was at a whole nother mind state by then. You know, by 88, like everybody was pretty seasoned in the street. We were still young, but we were pretty seasoned. You know, we already did bids. We already had children. Like 88, I was 18, man, but I was a grown man. I took care of my household. I had 2 kids. You know, I had a bunch of things going on in life.
Yeah. What's the relation between the low lifes and the DCEPs?
We family, man. Half of my project was DCEP. A lot of people don't know that. Remember, Sean P was a DCEP. He was always with us. You know, there was friction between low lifes and DCEPs only with the outskirt dudes. Like people who didn't know that we came up together and all that, or the younger generations of them. But you know, if I went someplace, like I go to Coney Island by myself on a Sunday, I'll run into 200 DCEPs. Now we all running together, you know what I mean? Like that's how it was, cause like when they see certain dudes, they like, yo, it's time we taking money now, let's get on it. No matter what you was doing, you know?
Did you ever come across somebody by the name of Lord Vital?
Yeah.
I used to do shows with Lord Vital at the Club Pyramid on the Lower East Side. Yeah.
I rocked Pyramid a couple of times. Yeah. Vital was pushing music for a minute. You know what I mean? He was doing his thing.
This is like 2004, 5. I was doing EO Dub, end of the week, Cypher, and then Pyramid, call that shit Tuesday nights. It was like open mic Tuesdays or something.
Pyramid is like a historical place for that, you know. I shut a couple of shows down. Yeah. Vital was on his Groundhog Body for a minute.
You know? That's dope, man. So the Low Life Miami family, obviously because of your connection, your grandparents' house in here, and is that how that got attached to the movement? You wanted to create like a Miami base for it here?
I mean, when I first got here and started doing things, there were just a lot of people involving themselves. So that's how I was born. I wasn't looking to recruit. I wasn't looking to build a chapter. I just was coming across people who wanted to do the same things I was doing, or they were involved. You know Boxlow, who's here. He does all the films with me and everything. Box was actually in New Jersey at the time. When I met him, he was doing all my tattoos at first. So he would always tell me, yo, I'm from Miami. And he was like, after a while, he went back home. So when I started coming here, I kept coming to Box to get tattooed. And you know, me and him, through our relationship, we started building a lot of things with a lot of other people who were into the arts. Because you know, everything for us is based around the arts of hip hop. You know, the culture, like people living the culture and trying to add on to, you know, what we building. And the whole Low Life Miami family was born. And you know, I've got 1,000 cousins here too, so they all were involved, you know, just out of love. They wasn't artists or doing anything, so it grew kind of fast, you know.
Can a person be a low life if they've never physically met you?
Of course. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of low lifes out there who try to pigeonhole this right now. Being a low life right now is no different than when somebody says they want to be a DJ. Low life is culture, you know what I mean? It's style. It's like when you live according to the way, and I'm not talking about the boosting or the crime, because you know we pushing all that to the back now. If you live this culture, I don't think nobody could tell you. Like when people decide to be Christian, they don't need nobody's approval but Jesus Christ, if that's the case. The same goes for Muslims and things like that. This is basically intertwined into our hip hop as a religion, you know? So I can't condemn nobody, but it makes you more official when an original or founder gives you your L's. Like nobody could really debate that, you know what I mean? It's undebatable once you got put on by certain names, ain't nobody gonna even ask you a second question.
Cause I'll be honest with you, like when I first met you, I want to say I guess 2011, when I was doing the rooftop party at the Clevelander and Safe brought you around a couple times, like I started calling myself Fly Low, cause I was already Fly Guy, and I was like, damn, at some point I'm gonna have to like ask if it's cool if I call myself that. You know, I was coming around DJing the barbecues every year, but I never actually asked you, yo, can I call myself that?
As you know, we always offered you an invitation to the table with the family regardless, because you're doing everything we all want to do here. We trying to live positive lives, we trying to inspire other people, we trying to push things forward, and that's the reason I'm sitting here now, because I only acknowledge your work to judge you by. I don't even know you that much as an individual, where we never really hung, but I see your work everywhere I turn. And like they always say, the work speaks for itself. It says a lot about your character and what you're bringing to the table. You only are offering things to people. You're not a taker. You know what I mean? You're gonna offer anything you're doing. So,
I'm curious to know, when you walked up to Ralph, what was the first thing that you said? What was the first thing you said to him? What was the first thing he said to you?
He said, "I know who you are," and he shook my hand really tight, like, and he said, "Thank you." I was like, wow.
Damn.
Like,
that's full circle.
Cause you know we just finished watching the premiere. Cause you know I'm in the movie.
I didn't know that. Oh.
I'm in the movie. I'm not just. That's why I was at the premiere. I was the only hip hop artist in the movie, besides Bones Malone and my man Cole Rodriguez.
That's amazing.
But it's like, you know, Kanye had a couple of seconds in there. Ghost and Ray had a picture in there. That was hard. But you know, I actually had time. Interview, my music videos, like they actually put me on a pedestal in there. They, you know, they rep for the culture. You know, I got to speak on lowlifes and how I was born, and you know, so it was big, man. It wasn't just big for me, man. It was big for lowlifes, and it was big for hip hop, man. To be acknowledged now. You know, I believe polo is the official uniform of hip hop globally at this point. It's the only brand that never went out of style. Look how we talking about Lacoste, Izod, and Le Tigre. Everything that you can mention, from Hilfiger to Adidas to Gazelle to Kang, everything has gotten played out at some point. Like I see everybody running around with Gazelles nowadays. I could show you a bunch of my friends still paralyzed from getting shot for their Gazelles in '83 and '84. And then to see after that time, if you wore Gazelles in '87, you a fucking joke. They laughed at you. And then for them glasses to come back to now, they're the most exotic hip hop glasses, but they died at one point. The same thing with Kango. Kango lost his life expectancy in New York City. Only the OGs like Samuel L. Jackson was still rocking Kango and shit like that. But now it's just, and yo, that was a crown where you got hurt for. Niggas are snatching your shit on the train with the window open. Like, Kango was that serious. But to see all these brands go up and down, and Polo always maintain their credibility, and that's because of us. That's because of lowlifes. I think in the early 2000s, you know, that when we started pushing the music and traveling the world, I've had people come up to me and say, Polo played out. And they almost got punched in the face. Right. Like, when you saying this played out, it's like you telling me I'm played out. So it's like we withstand that to where, yo, it was times niggas boo when I'm performing, we jumping in the crowd to fight. Like, you boo me in my face. That's how niggas was getting down. So we stood up and fought to keep things relevant, you know? So
that's crazy. So what's next on the table for? Because when I saw the picture of you standing next to Ralph, it gave me a feeling of when Gucci and Dapper Dan connected and then started working together. So now in my mind, I'm like, damn, now this should be like an official.
I can't say that.
You know, we'll see what happens with that. But
there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot of different things. As you know, I'm multi-dimensional. I'm multimedia. So, you know, from books to shows to, I'm touching a little bit of everything right now. So,
Bury Me with the Low On, the book. What is that? A low life story? Is it a picture book? Like what
it's a low life culture book. It tells brief history, but it's not about the founders all the way and all that. It shows massive pictures. You know, all the pictures are from my collection, and my good brother Tom Gould, he took all the latest photographs that was in there. But it's just to explain the culture and what it is now. Right. Now, as far as the actual story, there are a bunch of them coming, like, you know, from different members and all that. So I felt like it was appropriate to show you where we at now. Right. We're current, we're relevant, we're all of that. This is not just a story from the past. Right. We are what's going on now. So I brought the story and to introduce the culture now with all these different people who help spread it through their neighborhoods. Because everybody in that book is basically different low heads and low life. Not everybody's a low life. You know, there's a bunch of Deceps in the book as well. But they were instrumental in their own parts of town on how they influence the people in their town with the low and all that, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm looking for. I gotta get my hands on that. I've been trying to secure.
You better get. I told you, I got the last hope. Them books is out of control with the prices. You see what they want online?
I saw.
You see? I seen in Europe they want 10,000 for the book. Damn. In America, I'm seeing 1,000. You know what I mean? Like what the resellers are pushing out. The book sold out in 4 days. On the second edition, it sold out in the pre-orders. So we didn't even get past that. Wow. There's another book out there as well called The Low Life American Classic, which Rack Low put together. That book is banging too, like, you know. people know, look that book up, man.
Is there more music coming from the Skillionaire? Right.
Yo, people always ask me, yo, you working on another album? I never work on an album. I just work on music all the time. And when I feel like putting out an album, I look in the catalog and see what I got. All right, all of these are fit this title.
Right.
Like, I never stop working on music. Like, music for me is the easiest thing I do. I don't have to really apply much effort unless I'm mixing and things like that. Like, it just comes so naturally, you know what I mean?
We should do a record together, man. Like, it would be an honor.
Hey, let me know.
Yeah.
You already know.
I appreciate you,
Because
man.
you said do a record. So now I'm gonna tell you what I was gonna tell you about DJing. No DJ breaks records anymore. No DJ even attempts to break records.
How do you define breaking records?
Get a record that nobody knows about and make that shit popular. Even if they only know you got it. So where they gonna come to every time they know you spinning, just so they could hear that one record. A lot of records were broken like that in the past. Like, you know, I'm an underground artist, right? I don't have a hit record out there. Not because I don't have a hit record, because I don't have a machine behind me, but I have every category of record you can imagine that you would need, but nobody ever tried to even break one. Like, I want to see a DJ make a record popular again. Like, that doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. Not even podcasts, not even radio stations. Remember Bobito and Stretch? They used to break records. They would make records popular. Nobody's even attempting to do that at all. That's why the culture suffers in different ways and people complain about what's being played out there, because everybody is still going to what's popular instead of trying to create what's popular.
Say no more. We gonna...
So when you're ready to break a record, I'll give you 1,000 songs to choose from, and you pick the one you think could be that record that could rock anywhere. I could give you love songs, rhymey songs, Spanish songs, like whatever you want. But DJs need to break records. Stop just playing with everybody else. Like Excess, you see DJ Excess, my DJ in Miami. He's making the attempt.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Excess will play 30 of my joints, but he gonna play what's gonna sound right after something else that's popping, you know? And I respect that, you know?
No doubt. You see, we definitely gonna look into that going forward and get that Thirstin Howl on the map in the city, man.
Especially if you want me to do a record, break that record first.
No doubt.
Then you got me. I'll do a whole album after you broke the record, you know what I mean?
Say no more.
That's real shit.
Love. All right.